Hello and welcome. I'm Alden Morris, and this is our 19th episode of our second season of TACTALK. It's just this episode and our last episode, episode 20 of second season, before we make some major changes to how this talk show is ran. And then you guys can actually have an opportunity to invest and make your inputs, whatnot. So again, this is our second season, episode 19, second to last episode before we make some major revamp changes here. Jumping right in this first segment, I do want to mention that February 19th, so today's 26th, 7 days ago, a week ago, Kissing Sailor from Iconic Life magazine photo has passed away. So from what I understood, he passed away at 96 years old, I want to say. And in the comfort of his family, you know, people were, well, the feminists jumped up as soon as he died, and obviously they were upset about the photo taken over 50 years ago, but no one cares about the feminists. So, moving on, the Kissing Sailor has passed away, so peace be with him. He made an iconic photo for our Second World War that we are participants in, and obviously when the troops came home and they were happy, he made a big, significant impact on that happiness. First thing I want to speak about is Matthew Shea introduces bill to repeal Initiative 1639 gun measure, and I will leave these links at both the bottom of the YouTube broadcast as well as the Facebook broadcast. So moving on, this is Matthew Shea. He's introduced a bill to repeal Initiative 1639. We're just going to read briefly. Republican State Rep Matthew Shea introduced a bill Tuesday that would repeal the myriad gun restrictions laid out in Initiative 1639. Initiative 1639 is unconstitutional in many respects and punishes law-abiding citizens while doing nothing to keep firearms away from criminals, said Shea in a written statement. In its current form, the law represents the most sweeping, comprehensive gun control legislation in any state. It enacts waiting periods and background checks on the purchase of semi-automatic weapons, an increase to the minimum wage for purchasing semi-automatic weapons from 18 to 21, storage requirements for firearms, and a Class C felony for any gun owner whose firearm is used by an unlicensed party. The measure was approved by nearly 60% of voters last November, but has been met with resistance in the days since. And again, people keep saying that this bill passed overwhelmingly with an overwhelming majority. And remember, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. So even if you pass that you can't walk to school on Fridays, it doesn't matter. I can still walk to school on Fridays because it's about the individual, not about the whole society. It's individual rights, not society rights. And it did not pass overwhelmingly. It passed under lies in the guise of that it was a safety bill. So the NRA and Second Amendment Foundation immediately filed a lawsuit shortly after Election Day, calling into doubt its constitutionality. It later withdrew and subsequently resubmitted its suit with new defendants. Meanwhile, sheriffs in Klickitat, Lewis, Grant, Mason, Grays Harbor, Pacific, Benton, Franklin, Adams, Lincoln, Stevens, Ferry, and Catatis counties have all expressed that they won't enforce the measure. We live in a republic, not a democracy. Thank you, says Shea. A republic is based on the rule of law, which means every law is passed must be constitutional. It is very clear this initiative is not, and thus the reason for the repeal. For Shea's repeal bill, he touts bipartisan support in the form of its one Democratic sponsor, Representative Brian Blake. Blake represents the state's 19th legislative district, comprised largely of the Washington coast and including cities like Long Beach, Westport, and Longview. House Bill 2103 still faces an uphill battle, though. State law requires 2/3 majority in the state legislature to repeal any voter-approved ballot initiative for the first 2 years it's enacted. As of now, the legislature is controlled by Democrats in both the House and the Senate, who would likely be reluctant to follow Rep. He has 2 twos in there. Blake's lead in supporting Shea's measure. And now, this article's gotten weak. I mean, I am going to go ahead and share it because I know Matt Shea personally. I've met him personally. He's a great guy. Very, very, very to the point. Not much getting to know him, more like getting to know what he's about, and then he moves on. But like I said, regardless, he's a great guy. This one says past controversies for Matt Shea. Shea's name has been in the headlines since 2018 when he came under scrutiny before the November election for a biblical manifesto that many found controversial, relating it to racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric common with white nationalists. The document talked about how wage how to wage a war according to points found in the Bible. It described a holy army that first offer peace but kill all males if that peace is rejected. It also notes that a tyrant is someone who rules without God, and says assassinating a tyrant is just and not murder. Shea was removed from his position as head of the House GOP caucus shortly after his manifesto was made public. And he was also interviewed by the FBI and things like that. He's fine. We all write crazy things, I guess. I mean, you know you're winning when the FBI has questions for you regarding some of your stances. You know you're making an impact. Or you're pissing some people off who want to lie about you. I have gone through that myself, not on Matthew Shea's level, but I have gone through that with baby mama drama and things like that. Moving on. The Progress Initiative 1639, because I wanted to bring that up as well. Before we talk one more thing about the gas tax here before our first segment's over, is that Initiative 1639 is obviously going to fail. I mean, we have so many people in opposition of it. Our own state sheriffs are coming opposite. Now we have sheriffs from out-of-state counties, like Oregon, who are saying that they stand with our sheriffs who are refusing to enforce it. So, if you don't know what Initiative 1639 is, if it's something new to you, if it's something that you thought was a feel-safe, good bill, whatever, read back into it. Read back into it and tell me and answer me what does it do that hasn't already been done, if that makes sense. So, Washington state lawmakers seek to approve nation's first carbon fee, with, of course, the help of Jay Inslee. So, this is an article. I am going to also leave this link in there. We'll talk about it briefly because we were up at 6 minutes in our first segment. But they want to charge an additional tax to our state gasoline fuel prices, anywhere between 15 cents to 21 cents per gallon. So if you're already pissed off about the just under $4 of Supreme that we pay for and just over $3 of regular you pay for, try adding another 15 cents to 21 cents to that. So it's just getting ridiculous how this is working. So gas tax on Washington State. So do check the Facebook live broadcast and the YouTube live broadcast, and then this link will also be there as well. So, moving on, finally, I do have some things I'm saving specifically for the second segment. The second segment, I do want to discuss some of this Mormon issue stuff with you guys. A lot of you guys really don't know the history of Mormons, so I will be sharing that. And real quick, before we close out this first segment, remember to file your taxes. I myself have filed my taxes come January 23rd. File your taxes. Get your money back. Because remember, taxation is theft. And the fact that the government's holding on to your money and waiting for you to ask for it back is a little ridiculous. So, I myself have filed my taxes January 23rd. Was told that I would receive it February 13th, and still have yet to receive it. However, the IRS.gov website itself has told me that I will receive my taxes on the 27th tomorrow. So we will see. We'll see if I shall trust my government any further or not. Second segment, we have some an interesting video I did back in the day about Mormons. I'd like to share that, and that's what we're going to be titling this episode. It's the Mormon execution order, because that is a real thing. I am fed up with the Mormons. I'm fed up with any monotheistic religion. However, Mormons specifically get under my skin. So, after that, we'll be discussing what we learned in that video, and then I want to briefly highlight the snowfall here in Washington State. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. Protecting those who prepare. 801-987-0893 for custom body armor carriers and tactical gear for military, law enforcement, contractors, corporate security, responsible citizens, and border patrol. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. 801-987-0893. Alright, thank you, and welcome back to our second segment of episode 19, season 2 of TACTALK here. I told you in the first segment that we'd be going into the Mormon execution order, as I've titled this episode that title. I did this video, let's see here. The actual video is called the 1838 Mormon Execution Order, Missouri Executive Order 44. And I did this back on August 11th, 2016. I've got a history with the Mormons. In fact, my 2 children are born from a lady who considers herself a Jack Mormon, from a devout Mormon family. And this family's so devout that they actually pay like 10% of their monthly income into the church. That they have magic underwear, for example, to get into heaven. The Mormons just allowed blacks into their heaven, probably I think around 1976, 1978, somewhere along the late 70s. So if you're black or dating anyone who's in the Mormon church or married into the Mormon church as a black man or a black woman, just know that they just recently allowed your people to get into their heaven. So makes you think how monotheistic ideologies are ran in the first place, unless you're worshiping your culture. So moving on. Like I said, I did this video back in 2016. I've got a history of the Mormons. Nothing really bad. I shared experiences in my life with Mormons, and I just don't agree with who they are. I don't agree with how they think. I don't agree with how they see the world. I think they're literally freaking crazy. And if you go to the library right now and want to find a book on the Mormons, you'll find it under the cults. So you will find that book under the section cult. So I'm going to play this video for you. It's 3 minutes and 23 seconds, and afterwards we're going to discuss some topics. And we're going to talk about the snowfall here in Washington State. So talking real fast, let's get it started.
Did you know that at one point in time the United States government went to war with the Church of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormons? This event was known as Missouri Executive Order 44, also known as the Mormon Extermination Order, issued October 27, 1838 until the surrender of the Mormons on November 1, 1838, after their first expulsion from Jackson County in 1833, known as the Flight of the Mormons. Executive Order 44 was not officially rescinded until 1976.
So remember that. Around the time that the blacks were allowed to get into Mormon heaven, according to the Mormons over in Utah at their temple, was the same time that the United States finally lifted the Mormon execution order, meaning it was legal to kill and bag a Mormon that entire time. Well,
it all began when in 1830 Joseph Smith created a cult-like following while preaching the second coming of Jesus Christ. Knowing the secret of the Garden of Eden that only he knew, he claimed his followers would inherit the Missouri land. However, the Mormon headquarters in Kirtland, Ohio, was simultaneously facing issues regarding the Kirtland Safety Society Bank and conveniently relocated their headquarters to far west Missouri. The church presidency and the Missouri government officials and leaders clashed, ultimately leading to the excommunication of church dissenters who had become extremely wealthy, powerful, and had purchased much of Missouri land. However, as the Missouri leaders proclaimed they had purchased the land while acting as agents of the church, they attempted confiscation, in which the Mormon church fought back. These powerful individuals of the Church of Latter-day Saints were Oliver Cowdery, David Whitmer, John Whitmer, and William Wines Phillips. On 4th of July, 1838, Sidney Rigdon made a compelling speech in which he stated that any force met opposing the Mormons would be met head-on. This speech led to rumors of Mormon militia invasions that would spread from county to county, leading to the sacking of Gallatin and several other skirmishes between the Mormon Danites, militiamen, and the United States. At news of a clash at the Battle of Crooked River, in which Captain Samuel Bogart was killed and many United States militiamen were taken hostage by the Danites, Governor Lilburn Boggs issued Executive Order 44 and a force of 2,500 militiamen to drive the Mormons out of Missouri State. This forced the Mormon population to head westward during the dead of winter, resulting in numerous deaths caused by weather conditions. This also led to the surrender of the Mormons and of Joseph Smith on November 1st, 1838. Simply put, the Mormon cult became so economically and electorally powerful they could easily change the outcome of elections. Neighboring counties soon grew tired of this corrupt political system that held beliefs such as polygamy and underage brides that, in time, the United States government, too, had to intervene. Today, much of the same business occurs amongst members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, and most Mormons, such as Warren Jeffs, arrested in 2006. Entire shows are also being developed based on the rescuing of women from cult-like polygamy here in the United States, where much of this deep-rooted belief is still practiced. The Church of Latter-day Saints owns numerous businesses and media industries, making it still one of the most powerful cults today.
So we're going to end it there. So I do want to share with you one of my personal goals is to get on the Cairo radio here in Washington State out of Seattle. We have a 97.3 Cairo radio, and one of my idols, Dory Monson, airs his show from the Carter Subaru Studios up in Seattle, Washington for Cairo Radio. Cairo Radio is owned by the St. Clair Broadcasting Agency, which is also owned by the Bonneville International Corporation. And the St. Clair the St. Clair Broadcasting Agency, as well as the Bonneville International Corporation, is both owned by the Church of Latter-day Saints. Now, the Church of Latter-day Saints is also deeply rooted to the fundamentalist groups who have child brides, who have marriages, multiple marriages, and polygamy, which I'm not necessarily against polygamy. I mean, if you're rich enough to support more than one wife, by all means. However, I am against child brides. Like, if you're under 18 or 16, you need to be forcefully married off for family debt, whatever. I'm against that. It's a violation of your freedom of being a human. But again, the church, the Mormons, they deeply root themselves in so many things. And I've got a list here that just says, like, the intellectual reserve overseen by the Quran of 12 Apostles, the Polynesian Cultural Center Corporation of the presiding bishop, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Desert Trust Company, education divisions includes Brigham Young University, which is, again, Mormon, then Insight and Peak Advisors, Deseret Management Corporation. The Deseret, it's a lot of people who hire agents to film in Hollywood, like media, things like that. Real estate, suburban land, reserve, property reserve, etc. Agriculture, ad reserves, farmland reserves, etc. Deseret Digital Media, Beneficial Financial Group, Temple Square Hospitality, Bonneville International Corporation, Deseret Book Company, and Deseret News Publishing. So you can see that the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints owns anywhere from hospitals to publishing houses, to broadcasting agencies, to media companies, to real estate, to the people who hire for agents and actors, talent agencies, talent management, to parks and agriculture and farms, and even certain colleges and cultural groups. So even if they don't outrightly own you, they have a lot of, or outrightly openly flaunt that they own you. At least they have that direct influence where you're forever grateful for this specific group of ideologists, individuals, for your stance and on the ground. So it's just ridiculous. The control about through power, the power about through control. Missouri Executive Order 44 wasn't listed until 1976. Look into it yourself. It's very interesting. And the reason why we bring it up today is because we just want to highlight on this show how ridiculous all monotheistic religions are. Most religions are ridiculous, and most people know that. They kind of exclude themselves from their own religious. But if you look at, even the Christians and the Catholics, I used to be Roman Catholic. The Catholics had their extremists. So there's a reason why I'm no longer Catholic or belonging to the Catholicism Church, or any of that. So it's sometimes speaking about all this keeps me speechless. So, and in final news, because we're at 9 minutes, we have finally melted off all the snow here down south where I'm at in Washington State. Not too south, but mid-state. Lakewood, Pierce County, Tacoma, Parkland, Olympia area. And then, of course, up north, we are still dealing with snow. I know the National Guard was called in for emergency because JNC hadn't allocated resources properly, so we had to call a state of emergency because we have no snow plows. And up north, they got upwards of 4 feet. From what I understand, it's finally sizzling down, finally calming down. So good luck. Thanks for staying in there. Stay safe. The whole shebang, the whole 9 yards. So we'll be back tomorrow. We've got our final episode of the season. So do stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll be broadcasting about the same time. And again, thank you guys for listening. You guys have a good night.